Students are often evaluated using teacher rating scales. Some examples are the CCISD Professional Observation, the Renzulli Rating Scale, the Scales for Identifying Gifted Students, also known as SIGs, and the Slocum-Payne Teacher Perception Inventory. In the CCISD identification process, we rely heavily on teacher input. If a teacher sees gifted potential in a student, the teacher's rating is highly important. I cannot emphasize this point enough. In the next 4 slides, we will look at the CCISD rating scale. This scale attempts to address various ways of being gifted, as well as the typical characteristics associated with giftedness. In the first category, we look at creativity. Does a child have great curiosity and asks why? Is he open to the irrational and illogical? Does he see relationships on minimal data? Sees unique analogies? Is he open to a wide range of interests? Is he imaginative? Is he a daydreamer? Is he critical of himself or others? Does he have task commitment? Is he persistent in the completion of tasks? Is he difficult to move on to another topic? Does he work independently with minimal teacher direction? Is he easily bored with routine tasks and drills? Does he often reject or omit the details? The next section, problem solving. We look at his inventiveness ability to improvise with commonplace materials and objects. Does he use reason and logic? Does he have a high degree of common sense? Does he exhibit flexible thinking and find alternatives easily? Does he make decisions easily? Can he see so many solutions to a problem that he may seem indecisive? Does he have leadership ability? Is he usually liked and respected by his peers and others? Is he a loner? Does he have low sociability? Is he self-assertive? Does he appear to be bossy? The next one, risk-taking. Is he adventurous and willing to guess about the unknown? Is he independent in opinion, even if contrary to the group opinion? Is he willing to risk peer disapproval to pursue interests? Is he radical and spirited in disagreement? Does he resist direction and/or authority? Behavioral characteristics. Does he have the ability to express feelings and emotion? Is he sensitive to criticism? Is he a perfectionist? Is he sensitive to the feelings and needs of others in the environment? The next section is sense of humor. Does he have a keen sense of humor? Is he often misunderstood as sarcastic or insulting? Does he have a superior vocabulary and he's advanced in reading? Does he have a richness of imagery in informal language? Is he articulate and fluent? Does he talk his or her way out of situations and arguments? Finally, the last category, responsiveness to the kinesthetic. Is he expressive with his gestures and body language? Can he not sit still, yet he knows what's going on in the classroom? The major advantage of this rating scale is that it is very easy to complete and does not require a lot of the teacher's time. Unfortunately, this scale does not give a high score to all gifted students. If you, as a teacher, feel strongly that a child is gifted, yet your responses on the form come out low, it is imperative that you submit additional documentation. Your observations are extremely valued by the CCISD evaluators. Although I cannot copy the next 2 rating scales, I think it is important to look at some other instruments that are available for teacher observations. The first is a Slocum-Payne Teacher Perception Inventory. The great advantage to this is that it is based on research about characteristics of our under-identified gifted populations. This inventory is much more comprehensive than the CCISD inventory. And if you look at the scale, it's really cool. I like the way it's set up because it almost seems like the two sides are opposite, and yet both sides are gifted characteristics. So we're going to look at some of them. We're not going to go through all the pages of this scale because that would take us forever, but just to give you an idea, on one side, it's a child curious about information, inquisitive, doesn't accept information at first glance, questions, and pushes for information. Or, on the other side, they could rate highly if they're obnoxious with questions, likes to stump people with hard questions, enjoys questions with shock value, questions authority, unwilling to follow the rules. So you can see that these two are very different, and yet they're both gifted characteristics. So we're really looking at the different types of gifted children. On the second one, stubborn, avoids tending to other things that need to be done just because he or she is not through with his or her priority. On the flip side of it, this child sticks to the task, gets the job done, doesn't give up easily, even when things are difficult. Number 3, finds it hard to wait for others, unwilling to do detail work, shows reluctance to do some assignments because he or she already knows the content or skill. On the other side, it says learns at faster rate than his or her peer group, absorbs more with less practice, able to accelerate his or her learning, displays eagerness to do work. See, so on this side, this child is eager to do it. On this child, they're reluctant to do it. And yet, you look at the question of why are they reluctant over here? They're reluctant because they think they already know how to do it. Again, that's a sign of giftedness. Look at number 4. Understands subtleties of language in his or her primary language, uses language in a powerful way, displays unique sense of humor, able to use language to build personal relationships. On the other side, look at that. It's a smart mouth, master at put-downs of others, uses humor in destructive manner, unable to relate to peer because his or her sense of humor isn't as sophisticated. Maybe the class clown. And the last one that we're going to look at on this section is thirst for knowledge, seeks answers to questions, motivated to do research, to find answers to questions like rhetorical questions, curious about ideas. On the other side, shows little interest in what is to be learned, wants to pursue only those things that spark his or her curiosity, is more curious about people than events. So you can see on here how this takes a different look at the gifted child and really looks at the two sides of potentially high achievers, potentially highly gifted children. The next scale that I want to show you some of the components. This is the scales for rating behavioral characteristics of superior students. These are the Renzulli scales. And if you remember when we were talking about Renzulli earlier, Renzulli looks at a lot more than just the intelligence of the child. He's looking at meaning, motivation. He's looking at creativeness. He wants all of these components to come together. So on his scale, he looks at learning characteristics. He also looks at creativity, the motivation to get the work done, leadership characteristics, artistic characteristics, musical characteristics, dramatics, communication, planning, mathematics, reading, technology, and science. So this is a much more comprehensive scale. You can go online and you can see the sample that's online. Again, I can't copy this, but it just kind of gives you an idea of a different scale that could be used. And as a teacher, you may want to look at this and see, is this child demonstrating these gifted characteristics? Again, this is not something that we use in our district, but if you were to bring it to a specialist, I'm sure they would look at it and evaluate it and add it to the many components that they use when they're trying to evaluate the total child that we're looking at. The drawback of this scale is it's 15 pages long, and it would take a teacher a long time if they were doing it on multiple students.